Let's bring in MS Now's Ken Dilanian, who broke this story, and former FBI Assistant Special Agent in Charge Michael Feinberg. He's now an MS Now national security and intel analyst. Ken, what more have you learned from your sources about Patel's alleged changes?
Good morning, Ariel. Well, you know, Carol Leonnig and I had been working on this story before yesterday's hearing, but it was remarkable to hear Kash Patel really lean into these stats, which our sources say are basically bogus. For example, touting the idea that they've arrested twice as many violent felons in 2025 as during the Biden administration in 2024. What that doesn't explain is that Kash Patel changed the policy so that the FBI began in 2025 counting arrests where FBI agents were present, but other agencies made the arrest and led the investigation, whether other federal agencies or state and local agencies, including the immigration raids that Patel has been requiring FBI agents to go on. So these stats do not reflect additional suspects being taken off the streets, is what our sources are telling us. And then we also focused on the vaunted FBI's most wanted fugitives list, because Patel often boasts that they've had a much greater success capturing these most wanted fugitives than during previous administrations. What he doesn't tell you, though, is that they've essentially been gaming the system. They've been placing fugitives on the list that they know are about to be captured, according to our sources. And we looked at the numbers. 4 out of 6 of the fugitives captured during Patel's tenure were captured within a month of being placed on the list, 2 within a day, 1 within an hour in Mexico, where a complex operation was mounted. Obviously, it had been planned weeks in advance, but that person was caught an hour and some minutes after being placed on the list. So these stats just don't add up, and Patel is claiming credit for things that really aren't real.
Michael, Ken, thanks for your reporting. And Michael, just react to this.
Yeah, these sort of rumors that Patel and his minions have been, I will politely say, massaging the stats and playing games with the numbers. This is something that the Bureau workforce and alumni population have suspected for quite some time, because we know what's going on at the agency. And we know that agents are being pulled for a lot of stuff they have not traditionally done, and it just doesn't make sense that the numbers would leap the way they did. And my hat's really off to Ken and Carol for their reporting, because they've proven quantifiably and statistically that the Bureau hasn't actually improved its stats. All they've done is enlarge the categories they're counting, and at the risk of being overly blunt, take credit for things that state and local agencies are doing that the FBI actually has minimum responsibility.
So we've heard all of the reporting, you know, about Kash Patel himself, but now we're talking about the work of FBI agents. Michael, could Patel face any sort of repercussions for possibly manipulating these stats?
From who? I mean, I don't mean to be sarcastic, but the administration certainly is not going to hold him to account. They have not, despite his numerous faux pas, missteps, and elisions of truth in prior testimony. And with the makeup of Congress right now, it's difficult for me to see any sort of real oversight occurring. It's actually a bit of a sore point for many of us who are with the Bureau for so long, because even the language Patel uses indicates that at least the Democrats need to dig deeper into his statements. The FBI director regularly talks about the lowering of the murder rate nationwide, as if that's something he's responsible for. And myself and a lot of other former agents can't understand why nobody has pointed out to him in public that murder, generally speaking, is not a federal crime. The FBI has very little responsibility or impact on the federal murder rate. So there are really basic questions that could have been asked of him that, quite frankly, have not been yet.
So even if Democrats dig into what's beyond semantics at this point, they issue more difficult questions during these hearings, what more can be done at this point?
Unfortunately, very little. I would hope that state and local chiefs and officials would, at least behind the scenes in a way that doesn't ruin their own relationships, push back against this and, you know, maybe talk to Patel, maybe talk to the deputy directors and point out that every time Patel gets caught out fudging the truth, it diminishes law enforcement's reputation writ large. And whenever that reputation is diminished, people, witnesses, victims, cooperators, become less likely to help out with investigations and operations. You're not going to risk yourself for somebody who you can't trust to tell the truth. And that's going to be a very real long-term consequence of the way Patel is comporting himself.
So speaking of potential consequences, Ken, you're also reporting about the rise in agents leaving the Bureau altogether. What more can you tell us there?
Yes, there's been a hemorrhaging of experienced agents, as Michael knows, because he was one of them. So there are around 13,000 special agents out of the FBI workforce of around 38,000. And generally, there's been around a 5% attrition rate, so around 700 agents a year. But in 2025, the Bureau lost 2,800 agents, according to internal FBI statistics. And that may actually understate the extent of the damage here, because they are some of the most experienced agents and some of the most senior agents who have left, and it's continuing to happen. And it's a huge problem that is not fixable in a few years or with the next presidency, because those people are gone. They're in the private sector, and it takes many, many years to train people as good as Michael and other special agents who have left the FBI.